G'day everybody, and welcome back to another Rosh Reviews, where today we are in a 2001 Toyota Crown Athlete V. This is the JZS 171, and this thing is pretty damn special. This has got the legendary 1JZ engine up front, VVTI, inline 6, turbocharged, 280 horsepower, 280 pound-foot of torque, rear-wheel drive. This thing is absolutely insane. Now, the JZS 171 was launched in 1999, and it was carried through up until 2003, with this one being in 2001 being the first year of the facelift. So they did have one facelift throughout this generation, and you could have got this in either a sedan, like we are driving today, or in a sports wagon, which is pretty cool. Also, the wagon did have an option to have four-wheel drive, I believe, which would be pretty damn cool in certain countries. This is a fantastic engine. The 1JZ, in my mind, has always been one of the best Toyotas ever made. And a lot of people actually say it is better than the 2JZ as well. So this thing is low. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but so I'm sitting on BC coilovers, and as all Crowns are, you know, the VIP style, get a nice set of wheels on these things, lower them. They are just so damn cool. Now, probably one of the biggest things to let down this car would be the fact that it was only available in a 4-speed automatic. So there wasn't any manuals, there wasn't even any 5-speeds, which is a little bit unfortunate. You did, however, get these kind of funky shift buttons on the steering wheel. So you've got these two buttons, they both say down, and basically behind that, there's an up button. So you can, with a left hand or a right hand, upshift, downshift, kind of electronically with the wheel. It is a little bit strange and weird, but I like that. You know, it was Toyota testing the waters on some kind of Tiptronic mode, which is pretty cool. It's got a really good turning circle. It's surprisingly, it's a big car, this thing, and just going around there, very easy. I didn't even have to lock this car out, and straight around the corner there. U-turn, no worries. The steering, it is a very slow rack, but it does have a bit of feel through it still. So you turn the wheel, you're gonna have to turn it a little bit more than you would think, but this is a luxury car at the end of the day. And you know, you sit in here, you look around, it does breathe luxury JDM. You know, this thing is from the early 2000s. And you know, the fact this thing is a 1JZ, you get on it and you let off and you get that flutter, man, this thing puts a smile on your face for sure. And it's not slow. It's definitely not slow. Of course, the gearbox is probably the biggest thing that is letting it down. You know, every time I get in a car and it's got a 4-speed, it really is hard to overcome a 4-speed in a lot of cars because it just has such a long rev range, this thing, because of that gearbox. Now, just before we continue with this JZS Athlete V review, guys, make sure you do hit that big red subscribe button and click the bell so you do get updated on all our weekly uploads. Right, this thing actually goes. It really does. And this thing is big. You know, we can fit plenty of people in this car. We got 4 people in this car right now. And, you know, we got tons of room in here. The trunk is just huge. And, you know, this car weighs in at about 1.6 ton. It is not light. But I got to say, you know, for that weight, for a 4-speed, man, this thing does get up and move. Oh, man. Now, fuel economy, this thing is a straight six turbo, old school JDM engine, does make a bunch of power, and it's thirsty. There's no getting around it. This thing is a big car, it likes to drink. This thing has a 70-liter fuel tank, and the owner tells me he gets about 500 Ks of range. So when you calculate that, it isn't good. It's probably sitting around that 13, 14 liters per 100 Ks, and apparently that's on a good day. And when you compare this to, say, like a Stadia, I've done an RS4S, I've also done a 260 RS, and, you know, there are definitely some differences there, but I would say if you're going to compare this to just a normal Stadia, the wagon, they're not that different, though I really think this has got the edge because it just feels nicer in here. The motor feels healthier, it just pulls better. This particular one is a little bit too low with the amount of people we got in this car, I think, but just overall, it just drives smoother. This does feel more like a luxury car, where when you get in the Stadia, it does kind of feel like it is a little bit more just sporty and not luxurious. If only this had a 6-speed manual, I really do think this probably could have fallen into that category with the 260 RS, because that is basically an R33 GTR with a wagon on the top of it, and it's absolutely insane. This is insane as well. It's just, I think the 4-speed, if only it came in a manual, that really would have made it just absolutely bonkers. I always find it funny as well because so many of these late 90s, early 2000s JDM sedans, they did compete with each other. You know, you had the Aristo, that had a 2JZ twin turbo in it. You had this particular one with the 1JZ. You had the Chasers. Like, there was just so many four-door big sedans. It's not a bad thing, I'm glad they made them, but I always just find that so funny that Toyota developed and made so many of these. Now, comparing this to some of the other Crowns I have previously reviewed, I've done an S180 Majesta, I've also done an S200 Majesta. Those are V8s. Those are the top of the range in terms of the Crown for those specific generations. And look, you can definitely tell this one is the older car. It definitely has a little bit less luxury in here because it is the Athlete. This is more the sport version. But I like this a little bit more. You know, the Majestas are great, but this one's just got some more of that late 90s flair about it. And the fact it's got a 1J up front, I'm always going to like that more. I just will. Driving position is really good. You know, the seats are super comfortable. Steering wheel is really nice to hold. You know, the shifter buttons are a little bit funky, but, you know, they work and they shift reasonably quickly. Got a good visibility everywhere out of this car, which is pretty nice. And again, as a typical JDM import car, we do have this Japanese infotainment system that is basically totally useless here in Oz, but it does give us that map of us in the ocean next to Japan, which is always funny. Now let's have a look around this Toyota Crown Athlete V. Straight away, just the style of this car, it looks really cool. You know, it's got that VIP style about it. I love the front end on this thing. Very squared off. You even have these Japanese parking lights here, which are very cool, that light up at night. We've got 18-inch by 9.5 D-speed wheels here, which do look good on the car. BC coilovers all around. And again, just, it is a good looking sedan, it really is. And at the rear, the square styling continues here. We've got those rectangular taillights that do look very cool. A custom 3-inch exhaust, so have a listen to this. And just coming into the back seats here, you get in and it is pretty roomy. I've got enough room here. Feet room is pretty good. Headroom, absolutely tons of headroom in here. Even at the front of you, we've got this grab handle, which is pretty cool. Just you know, behind the front seat there. You got another handle here. You do have a ashtray. This is a Japanese car, so every door has its own ashtray, which is pretty cool. Got a little drop down here, a couple of cup holders, and the seats are just very comfortable. And all up, it's just a really nice place to sit. Now, 0 to 100, I actually don't know what one of these cars will actually get. I could not find that on the internet, but we're gonna find out. So we've got the Draggy. We're just pulling up onto this back road. Look, we do have a full car here, and we are just gonna see what it gets, because obviously we're not giving it ideal conditions here, guys. It is the 4-speed here, so we're just leaving it in drive. We've got traction control off, power mode is on, and we've reset the Draggy. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. There we go, mate. It motors. It really does. It's just that initial getting off the line that you feel that little bit of a delay. But, man, once it's in second, this thing starts to power. It really does. Let's have a look at what that time was. Now, 0 to 100 was achieved in 7.7 seconds. And, again, like, full car, it's a 4-speed. Mate, that's pretty impressive. I reckon if this was just one person, yet ideal conditions, you would be in the 6-second range with this car. It's definitely quick. It's just getting off the line. It has that little bit of lag to it, but like in second gear, this thing is a monster. It really is. And pulling all the way to 7,000 RPM, like it just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. Wow, yeah, it's quick. Now as for price, brand new, I could not actually find what this would have cost in Japan back in 2001, though from estimates of what the Majestas used to cost, this definitely would have not been cheap. It would have probably been sitting around that 70,000-80,000 Australian dollar mark. And back in 2001, that would have been a lot of money. Now, on the used market, these have started to go up in value again. Here in Australia, you're going to be looking somewhere around that $20,000 to $25,000 range, and that is depending obviously on K's and condition. But these things, they're getting harder to find. One's in good condition, you know, they're desirable, and the prices honestly are only going to go up.
So, in conclusion, the JZS 171 Athlete V is seriously one of the coolest Toyota Crowns ever in existence. Yes, it's not as premium as its older brother, the Majesta, but this Athlete V is so much more driver focused, and with that godly 2.5 liter turbocharged 1JZ VVTI and those insanely cool boxy VIP looks, this JZS is without a doubt my favorite Crown. If only it wasn't a 4-speed. Thanks for watching.